We meet you today in a time of trouble and anguish. No doubt you were alarmed, shocked about what happened in Las Vegas. Over 50 people dead just in one stroke. This is only one of the many things that concern us. Kim Il-jong in North Korea threatens to launch a hydrogen bomb, an explosion that will create a tsunami that can destroy most of USA's western coast. We certainly live in troublous times. We also observe that children are increasingly being separated from the parent by the digital screen. Of course, the problem starts with the parents who do not give much time for the child, and the digital screen becomes the child minder. And we know digital screen is a strong stimulation. Harvard Studies recently has named the digital stimulation electronic cocaine. This is my subject of expertise. You may read some of my books, and if you would send in your telephone number, we would certainly keep you linked to this program. The number you should call is 077 151 2801. Then we can keep you informed of all the developments regarding children activities that can save them from the digital trouble. Now, strange thing is, there's an ancient book of wisdom called Proverbs that describes a generation who will curse their father and diminish their mother. It also says, it uses the word generation. There would be a generation whose eyes would be always lofty, seeking more than they could do and attempting to do what they cannot. They have got into the fantastic mode. Now we know cartoons, Ben 10 and many other cartoons project the child to do more than what they can do. That ancient book also says there is a generation, nothing will be filthy in their eyes. They keep thinking what they do is right. How does this happen? The child's system is inwardly designed, I believe strongly, by God the Father. There's a default mode network of thought. The child will work for 30 minutes, an adult will work for 40 minutes in a salience curve which is stimulated or directed by dopamine U curve. That's called homeostasis in the language of physiology or pharmacology. So after dopamine works in the U curve for the salience, you do what you decided to do, you plan it, execute it, then serotonin takes over and gives us a self-check with the serotonin U curve. That self-check helps the child to look back on what he did for the last 30-40 minutes and say, well done, not good enough, do it properly again. So a child gets tutored by this natural design, which I think is a God design. Child gets naturally tutored to do a self-check. Not only the child, we also work like that. We work for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and we sit back, relax a little in the serotonin mode, the self-check mode of satisfaction. Satiety is the technical term, where we check how was it, can I do it better. But when the child is into digital stimulation, dopamine does not come to rest. It keeps on going high, and the child loses his self-check. One of the great dangers and damages of the digital screen is that the child loses the self-check and does not refer back to see whether what he did was good. He begins to think all what he does is always good. So this is the fracture that has come into the family, parents doing their own thing and children doing their own thing. And the ancient book says this is the spirit of a raven, increasingly as if their eyes have been taken away, and they begin to get into filthy stuff, not good stuff, and make a big noise, and they can't see that this is wrong. They keep thinking what they do is right. We also observe other concerns. One such concern that is difficult to avoid is the kind of trouble oceans give and the challenge of global warming. Now, some doubt global warming, but it's a fact that weather changes are now quite chaotic. So what has happened over the last many decades of man's great industry and man's great consumerism is that we have used resources we had for 400 years in one generation. We manufactured, we consumed, we increased the demand, and we supplied the need. That's what Keynesian economics told us to do. Do much advertising, and the digital screen helped us to do this. And from 1970, we have been killing babies by abortion. Hippocratic oath was changed. Now a doctor no more has to say, which is my profession, no more has to say a medical practitioner will not help a woman procure an abortion. That necessity to state that in the Hippocratic Oath was abolished in 1972 by the International Medical Association. The present oath does not have that statement. And from 1970, many mothers began to take alcohol while the child was in the womb. Now in 2015, the British Pediatric Academy decreed, and now it is said, no amount of alcohol can be said to be safe for a pregnant mother to consume. That is the PC right statement. Actual statement should be, mother, when you are pregnant, don't drink any alcohol. Why? Every bit of alcohol affects the child's brain. So we are in perilous times, and there are many things that trouble us. The LGBT issue is destroying the family. Now, strangely, there was a statement that was said that a time will come, it would be like the time of Sodom, and it will be like the time of a man called Lot, who lived in the city of Sodom, and he protested homosexual practices of his day, and they nearly took his life, but it took all his family. There is a time that the God-created, God-designed family unit is being eroded. Human survival, human society's survival depends on the sustenance of the family unit. What more, it was also said in that same prediction that these days would be like the days of Noah. Now, the Hollywood blockbuster Noah became famous because of the film. The film was not faithful to the original. What was Noah's day like? Few powerful people who are named Nephilim began to rule over others. The literal meaning of the word Nephilim is those who fall on others, those who prey on others, those who conquer others, those who oppress others. So now we are coming to a second Exodus time when the whole world is coming under a very strong Pharaoh system. Pharaoh has decided all of world's resources must be under his rule, and the entire political system is being now manipulated to have few global elitists run politics and economics. This is why the head of state is being assailed, especially if he is a strong head of state who is intent on defending his nation, speak up for his national policies. He will be named a racist, and the global elite want to have regional unions like the European Union and heads of states who will consider the global issue and the globalism more than national protection. So in Noah's day, a few people began to take control of all the resources. We are fast coming to a day when 0.1% of the world's elite are owning and ruling 99.9% of world's resources. That is the political scenario, and to this end, our economic systems world over are being globally aligned that a few global elite can take all the wealth of a nation. This is where nations are going. Nations were a safeguard that few people will not overrun the world, but all those safeguards are being removed, and any head of state who opposes this globalism will be criticized and the globalists will attempt to remove them. We also have challenges in the ecological realm. The oceans are roaring. One ancient book that's called Luke's Gospel, documented by a doctor and historian of his day, says, there will be signs on earth, distress of nations with perplexity, sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear or of the expectation of those things which are coming. You see, this looks a strange statement, uttered in 33 AD. But in our day, we know that ocean roaring is not a foolish statement. That's happening. It is predicted that the Maldives will be overrun by the rise of the ocean. 40% of corals survive and 60% of corals world over are dead. Live corals are the kidney of the world. They are in the ocean bed. The corals, live corals, keep the pH value, the acid-base balance of the entire ocean in effect in all living ecosystems. When the pH value, the hydrogen ion concentration changes, enzymes can't function and the water will become too acidic. So ocean corals have died so much, and in a human being, if kidney supply goes down to 33%, you get chronic renal failure. The world's corals, the global kidney has gone down to 40%. So we are in trouble. Besides the very manifest, very visible, very audible storms and tornadoes and ocean warming, there are other more subtle biological, chemical and physiological changes happening in the ecosystems. All these are telling us the world and the global systems must have been a wound clock, having its decreed time to run, and many things are saying that time might be coming to an end. Once upon a time, this was called doomsday, and doomsday predictions were always looked upon with laughter. So I say, don't watch the planets, watch the politics, what's going on in the world. So besides the oceans, we can see that in the tectonic boundaries there's quaking. Right underneath the earth crust, the foundation of the earth is made out of massive tectonic plates. You know what's happening? In every tectonic boundary, there's instability coming up. That's what comes up as earthquakes. In 2004, we had the Asian tsunami. What happened? The strong, stable India plate on which Sri Lanka rests did a transduction. It went down and the Australia plate came up, and at that point a massive mass of water was moved, and that became the tsunami. Now the not so good news is that intertectonic default has come towards the Andaman Islands, and any similar activity in that tectonic border between the India plate and the Australia plate will affect Sri Lanka more drastically. Recently we had 3 earthquakes coming in Mexico because of tectonic border trouble. And a year ago, there was a disturbance between the India plate and the Asia plate. The Everest and the Himalaya range sits on this boundary, and what happened was the 2 plates separated suddenly, and for 17 kilometers the Himalaya range height came down by 3 feet. That's a lot of trouble. And this ancient book also says there would be a massive earthquake which will affect all the tectonic boundaries of the world, and then that mountains will come down and islands will move. That's what happened in the Fukushima earthquake. And what people didn't observe or news didn't report was that just about 8 months or 1 year prior to that, there was deep oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, hoping to take the deep oil for human use. Fact of the matter is, just underneath the tectonic plates and just above, there are massive oceans. Some are water oceans, some are deep oil oceans. So the huge globe of this earth, when it is rotating at its furious speed, is held together. The momentum is borne so that there won't be any slurring or jitteriness of the globe by these well designed oceans within the globe, inside the earth. And what British Petroleum tried to do was to drill through to take this heavy oil. And when the oil came out, it was heavier than water. All the Florida corals were destroyed. The fishing industry, livelihood of thousands of folks was destroyed, and nothing could be done with that oil. Exactly on the other side of the globe, the Fukushima earthquake came, and the island of Japan shifted 8 meters on the GPS position because so strong was the earthquake. So these are some signs that tell us that man's day may be over. There's one more sign that you would take note. Just before these ecological phenomena burst on the world, there was a sign that was given in this good book. The sign was this: they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captives into all nations. That is about Israel. What happened to Israel in 70 AD when the Roman General Titus laid siege to Israel, burned the great temple, and the gold melted and went into the crevices, and the temple was dismantled stone by stone and to remove the gold. And all Jews were taken captive to many nations. And how long will Jerusalem be trampled? And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So we know that in the 1967-60 war, Jerusalem came back under the Jews. Israel took back Jerusalem, 1967. And all these accelerating moral, spiritual, ecological, political turmoil began round about 1970. So this good book has a timeline that has predicted many things that are happening in the world today. These are studied facts. I have spent a large part of my life to study these facts, and I am presenting to you truth that you can verify. We have some books to recommend to you. Global Dinosaurs, a short essay on what I have been speaking. Write to us, we'll get this book to you. Please send your telephone number to 077 151 2801. We will send you the link. And these books are available in 3 languages. This is Parenting, Heart and Brain in Age of Digital Domination, How to Keep Your Child Screen Safe. We have the same thing in English. There is a digital magazine, how you can know the brain tracks of your child, or your young man, your son or daughter, and what career he is best fitted for. We have lectures on this, classes on this for young children every Friday 6 p.m. in our center, Den and Dare, Colombo Empathic Learning Center. My name is Dr. Lalith Mendis. These classes are free of charge. We also give advice about how to know your child's brain type, what has happened after so much of digital games, how they can be retrieved from it, what to do for internet addiction disorder, what you can do for ADHD-like symptoms that come because of too much digital stuff, and how much the child changes soon after he passes the age 13. Here is our Empathic Learning Center. These publications are available in English, Sinhala or Tamil. We also have DVDs. Please write to us. Stay tuned. Thank you.